Episode 91: Why doing a parasite cleanse is essential to your well-being. Hi, this is Ruth Elizabeth Hancock, host of Work Your Energy podcast, which is a show all about how to thrive in this energetic universe that we live in. Throughout my spiritual awakening journey, which I see as quite scientific, not spiritual in fact, I've not only learnt so much about our universe, but I've also eliminated my depression, and I'm beginning to understand that planet Earth is not what we believe it is. So as I talked about last week, I'm currently doing a parasite cleanse at the moment, and I was really astounded at the difference it made to my well-being. First of all, my health improved, but also my connection to spirit improved too. Now you can see spirit as divine intelligence, plasma, consciousness, quantum field, God, whatever it is you want to call it. But I use the term spirit because I feel that most people understand what this is. It is a term that has been used by our ancestors and for thousands of years. And we don't have yet any proof of what consciousness or this intelligence, which we know is there because the research and the studies that we're carrying out is proving to us that it's there. We still don't know exactly what it is. But we do know that it even underpins the subatomic world, and it essentially directs everything, but it has an intelligence to it. And I'll come back to that as we go through the show. So, with my connection to spirit being improved, this was something that really made me sit up and take notice. I actually learnt to channel around 3 years ago when I worked with a shaman for around 9 to 10 months. And to begin with, the connection was very strong to the spirit world, Akashic records, consciousness, whatever it is you want to call it. And I used to channel 2-3 times a week in order to be able to download information, wisdom, guidance, support, whatever it is that people channel or connect to the spirit realms for. But then after about a year and a half, I realized that the connection was waning and I wasn't able to get such a strong connection, and in fact I was also getting negative voices coming in. Now of course, because I talk about this a lot in my first book and I talk about it a lot in my podcast, it's all about raising your vibration. So of course I worked on raising my vibration to get myself above those negative voices, and I set very strong protection, cleanse my energy, doing energy healings every night, everything that I was doing before, but I couldn't quite get back to that initial strong connection which I had in the beginning and which I really enjoyed. Working with higher consciousness is really such a beautiful way to live your life, and you receive so much support, guidance and wisdom that I began to realize that this is the way that humans should be living their life. This is the way our ancestors lived their life, and it's the way that we should be as well. And then in my research, I discovered through the religious books that they are also trying to teach us this connection to higher wisdom, higher consciousness, higher dimensions, if you like. And in fact, that can be seen as connecting to higher wisdom, higher consciousness through our physical body. So it's understanding that our physical body is the connection to the divine, and it's being able to use or utilize the physical body in order to connect to higher wisdom, higher consciousness. And the religious teachings were teaching us how to do this. As you know from my previous podcast, this became blocked around 2,000 years ago when the Romans, Emperor Constantine, Julius Caesar, for some reason of their own, probably as a way of controlling the masses or controlling people having more power, they began to block down this intelligence. They began to change, edit, rewrite the religious texts and turn them into a form of control, to control the masses instead of empowering the masses. And as Michael Laflamme says in a previous podcast, we are essentially still Romans, but walking around with iPhones. So we haven't changed much in the past 2,000 years. However, things are changing now. So anything that may sound negative in my podcast, please know that none of this is negative. I don't mean anything negatively. I am simply a big believer in disclosure because the truth will set us free. The truth is a high vibrational frequency in itself. And I think the truth is very important for where we are now in our journey, in humanity's journey. So because I couldn't strengthen this connection, I couldn't get that strong connection back to higher consciousness, higher wisdom again, I began to stop trusting myself and I began to stop trusting channeling. And because of this, I began once again to struggle. This is why I believe that the truth of our reality, the meaning of our life, is to connect to divine intelligence, to higher consciousness every single day, which, as I said, was what the religious teachings were trying to teach us, trying to tell us, but we have lost that connection. I still did channel, but I didn't really trust the information coming through, and I really found myself often just doing other things instead, learning other modalities and just getting on with life, with homeschooling, living an expat life, trying to run a business, trying to run a home. There are always 1,001 things to do. Of course, there were periods when the channeling was good, definitely learning other modalities because you're actually attuning yourself or reactivating yourself to new energies. This isn't to say that all my channeling sessions were bad. I could just tell it wasn't as good as they had been before. So in this past year, there have been two things that I've done which have really changed this and really helped me to connect back to spirit in what I felt like was a high vibrational way. And the first one, as I talked about previously, was getting the 5G Wi-Fi balancer and working with the Deca energy, which feels to me like an N being or plasma being as it moves around like a bubble. I feel it like sort of floating and moving and waxing and waning, healing everything in its path. It feels like such a beautiful energy and was brought into this dimension by quantum physicist Professor Ilya Lakichevich. And to just summarize his words, not using his exact words, but we can see the spirit or divine intelligence as the 0 point at the center of each atomic wave field, aka the point of all potential. It is an intelligence, and we are consciously communicating and connecting with it all the time. This is what we call spirit, because we don't understand how it works, but I do believe that quantum physics does, or at least is the best understanding that I can get my head around. Using this 5G balancer to change the negative radiation fields to positive ones really helped our family, especially with well-being and health, which in turn piqued my curiosity around the 5G radiation. I discovered that not only are these radiation fields bad for our health, but they are everywhere. Even some street lights and office lighting, the strip lighting that we have at offices, is a low-level radiation field. So if you don't have a 5G Wi-Fi blocker or Wi-Fi balancer, which is even better, and this is the Omnia Wi-Fi balancer that I use, and I'll put the link in the notes if you want to buy one. But even if you don't have this, we're being bombarded all the time. So if you don't have one, I highly recommend you buying one. And I'll put the link in the notes so that you can get a 10% discount if you want to buy the same one that I use, which is the Omnia 5G radiation balancer. And this harmonizes the energy and turns it into beneficial energy for our bodies. The thing is about using these sorts of things is that I've noticed that they tend to work really well for around 2 to 3 months. And then they start to stop again. Not completely, but they become slightly less effective. And I suspect that they are probably working in the same way that they've always worked, but our body starts to override them, or the negative energies from around us start to override them. Which leads me on to the parasite cleanse. This has really helped me to get that positive connection back to spirit again. But I think the most remarkable thing about the parasite cleanse is that I was astounded at how fast the positive voices were crystal clear in my head again. So there weren't the negative voices, the difficult voices, the misinformation coming through. It was clear, positive, high vibrational, useful, helpful. And again, my curiosity was piqued, and I began to explore parasites, which has been a very interesting journey. Not only are parasites in most of our food, but they can also be invisible, which is what we call parasitic entities. But of course, if you can't see parasitic entities, does that mean that they're not there? No. And I think this is something that more and more people are waking up to. There is more to this world than just what we see physically around us. And this is why I talk about frequencies, energy, vibration a lot, because this is the invisible world. But I think the biggest problem that so many of us have is that we are mostly riddled with parasites as well, coming from our food, if we look at parasitic entities that we can't see. And these, by default, are low vibrational frequencies, because if we understand that everything is a frequency, even physical things that we can see are frequencies, regardless of the things we can't see, these parasites are low vibrational frequencies, which can actually pull our overall vibration down. Because our vibration, what's in our energy space, makes up our vibration. But if we have parasitic entities or parasites, other things in our energy space, then this is going to affect our vibration too. And when we also consider that everything has a voice, everything is consciousness, everything has a voice, we can understand that parasites in our body, as well as viruses, bacteria, they all have a voice. Everything is able to speak. Everything has a consciousness, and consciousness can be understood by us. We either hear it or we see it or we feel it, whatever it may be, but it means that it's there. So the more parasites, low vibrational parasites that we have living off our body, whether invisible or physical, the more low vibrational voices we're going to have in our energy field, in our energy space. And I think that this is fundamental to our health and well-being. Of course, I'm not saying that the inner critic doesn't exist or that the inner critic is a parasite. I'm saying that the inner critic may not be what you think the inner critic is. Maybe it's not the inner critic, maybe it's something else. And if we look at the environment of the cell, which affects the cell, and in terms of epigenetics, then we can also see what is our environment like. Well, if our environment is low vibrational as well, which in today's world it currently is because the collective consciousness is filled with fear, then we can see that that environment is also going to pull the vibration of the body down as well. So whether we're talking about low vibrational parasites living within our body, or low vibrational parasites being attached to our body, or whether we're even talking about low vibrational frequencies being bombarded into the atmosphere, it's all creating a low vibrational world. So when I began the parasite cleanse and I started to kill off many of these low vibrational parasites inside me, I started to once again be able to connect to higher consciousness, to higher guidance, to my higher self, in order to be able to access higher wisdom to help me on this journey that we call life. I was no longer, or my vibration was no longer being pulled down by low vibrational parasites. I was now free from that. And of course, this is what raising our vibration truly means. We are raising our vibration above these low vibrational frequencies, so they can no longer exist in our energy space. We are no longer a vibrational match to them. Now, several weeks later, and I can feel again the parasite cleanse starting to wane a little bit. And again, that's because my body has become used to it. Probably the parasites have become used to it. They're now overriding. And I can really feel that there is frequency interference in the field as well, which means we have to keep up leveling on everything. So what worked last month may not be working so much this month because the field or the bombarding frequencies have up leveled as well. And on that note, let's end with 8 things that you can start doing today to help you to raise your vibration and help you to coexist with this world in a more positive way. Well, first and foremost, number 1 is to set very strong protection methods around your energy space every single day. You can do this in your meditation. It can be simple if you want, but I find the stronger, the better. Now, I have one on my website, which is only $10, or you can even listen to my daily cleanse for free on my podcast or on my YouTube channel. And whatever you do, just keep listening. Doing it every single day is really important. Number 2, of course, as I keep saying, is get yourself a 5G Wi-Fi blocker or balancer, because this is really important. We're talking about frequencies, and these are negative frequencies. Our bodies have never had so much radiation to deal with. So it's really important that you protect your body, you protect your family, you protect your house. And you can do this very easily using a Wi-Fi blocker or a Wi-Fi balancer. As I said, I use the Omnia balancer, which is really, really effective, and I'll add the link in the notes. Number 3, of course, is do a parasite cleanse. And as I said before, I worked with a qualified herbalist, which I think is really important here. Number 4 is get off mainstream media or the news. Number 5 is limit your time on social media. Number 6, spend more time in nature, because this allows you to replenish those electrons, which I talked about in my grounding episode previously. So when we are in nature, our bodies are, in a sense, actually directly interacting with consciousness, with the divine intelligence. Nature is the divine intelligence. So there's nothing better for us than sitting, lying, playing, running around in nature. And then, of course, practice grounding for 15 minutes every day for the same reason, because each time you do this, you're actually replenishing your electrons. You're pulling electrons from nature, from the ground, and you are replenishing your atoms, thus making them healthy again and keeping you away from disease. And number 8 is to be more heart-focused, compassionate and caring every day. Giving love generates more love inside you. So we all need to give love to those around us, be compassionate and caring to those around us. You don't have to be perfect. It's all a vibrational thing. You just have to be able to feel that high vibration, that warmth, that care, that nurturing vibration inside you as many times a day as you can. Even sitting in gratitude will allow you to do that. These high vibrational emotions and feelings will help you to sit in these higher vibrations every day, thus raising your own vibration through neuroplasticity and allowing you then to be able to reach and stretch up to those higher consciousness, that higher guidance, that divine intelligence, in order for you to be able to live a better life every single day. Okay, so that's all for today. I better go. I've got my daughter and her friends lining up outside the door, waiting patiently for me to finish because I'm promised to take them swimming. So with that, I'm going to sign off. Have a great week, and I look forward to catching up with you next week. Okay, have a good weekend. Take care. Bye.